There's an assertion on the internet right now that's rolling around, and you can see it on YouTube, that the Democrats downplayed coronavirus in the beginning. Now, I tried to fact check this by looking up attitudes towards coronavirus by various politicians, a few other things. Kind of gave up at one point. So here we go. Facts about partisan reactions to COVID-19 in the U.S. The thing I do find that's a playing down is when Donald Trump suggested locking down the United States compared to the entire planet, which in hindsight, 2020, especially if you're an ass like me, would have been a fantastically good idea and should have been kept up. I'm not kidding about that. Literally making it almost impossible to come into the country or say, yeah, you can come here, but you have to be at your cost in lockdown for 2 weeks while we observe you. From now on, we should assume asymptomatic spread for viruses because that's how it is with head colds and stuff, so why not? I mean, we've learned our lesson, right? But anyway, 5 facts about partisan reactions to COVID-19 in the United States by Pew Research. Now, a couple of things that you're not going to be able to stomach, a lot of you, is how consistently agreeing everybody was with what was going on early on. This is one from April 2nd, which seems so long ago, but it wasn't really. Republicans and Democrats see restrictions as necessary to address the outbreak. One group was not tone deaf to this. Requiring most businesses besides grocery stores and pharmacies to close was not agreed upon. Blue versus red, it was, all of them were in majority. The majority of people felt that was necessary. But Republicans and Republican-leaning people were 61% in agreement, and 81% in agreement was for Democrats. Postponing upcoming state primary elections was supported by a majority of Americans, full stop. They were. They felt it'd be a good idea because they needed to figure out what's going on first. Just put politics aside and let's solve this. Limiting restaurants to carry out only was supported by a majority of the population. It was just 91% for Democrats, and Republicans were 78%. Asking people to avoid gathering in groups more than 10 people was again supported, 82% and 92%. At this point, the differences aren't a difference. More Democrats were in favor of these things than Republicans, but we don't talk about this. Closing schools was agreed upon. Canceling major sports events was agreed upon. Restricting international travel in the United States was 94 to 96%. The majority of you and me agreed with these things. What did we disagree on? Mostly closing down lots of different businesses, besides, the very necessary ones, other things that you wouldn't think about. Views on President Trump's response to the outbreak are extremely wide-ranging. More continued to say they disapprove than approve of how he's handling the job. Just over half the population said they disapproved of Donald Trump. Period. Republicans are more likely than Democrats to say they approve of how Trump is handling the job as president. 85% versus 12%. Democrats did not approve of it. Now, you could say that's partisanship on the Democrats' part. Easily. The other thing is you could say it's his handling as doing his job versus what the shit he keeps posting on Twitter. What did he do versus what he said? Donald Trump doesn't do most of what he's talking about. I doubt that he pointed an ultraviolet laser down his throat or poured bleach in his mouth. All right? He'll talk about crap, but does he do things? Maybe the Republicans are looking at what his policy outcomes were, not his musings. Okay, I think that's a good idea. And again, this is from the current year, and it was from April 2nd, just after April 1st. Democrats are more likely than Republicans to see the coronavirus as the most serious terms. 78 say the outbreak is a major threat to themselves and everybody else. Republicans said it's 52% of them said that. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it was a major threat. No, it's a manufactured thing. Democrats are more likely than Republicans to see it in a certain way. The total was around 88% affecting saying it was affecting the U.S. economy. 66% was affecting the health of the U.S. population as a whole. Less than half of the population said it was going to affect their personal finances or personal health. 49% down to 36%. And that's actually accurate. The minority of population is going to be directly affected in a way they can detect in the immediate future. So that was technically accurate. But as for the assertion about your personal finance situation, everybody believed it wasn't going to affect them. It did. How people across the country are reacting to the outbreak. How they feel other people are reacting. Half of Democrats said people around the country are not taking it seriously enough. It was around 40, 31, and 48. Less than half said that. Reacting about right. Actually, about a third of the population, no matter how you look at it, said they were about right. Republicans were 40% likely to say everyone's overreacting. That's kind of expected. Democrats were saying, a quarter of them were saying we were overreacting. The total was 31%, and it works out to, if you're not aware of it, around 30, 30, 30. So the averages here, you see partisanship, but not taking it seriously enough. A little under half the population, who are Democrats, said, yeah, that's right. And overreacting was about 40%. Republicans, mostly, said, yeah, they think they're overreacting. That just represents uncertainty. Republicans and Democrats say someone in their household has either lost a job or taken a pay cut. Yeah. Around 30 to 36% of them said that. Because that's accurate. That's just the experience. That's not partisan. Most of this isn't partisan. Most of this is accurate. But let's concentrate on the stuff where we can argue. Now let's talk about what Democrats said about coronavirus outbreak at the Democratic debate, February 2020. I tried to go back as far as I could to see early on Democrats downplayed the virus. A lot of them went contrarian on whatever Trump said rather than what Trump did. But none of them were downplaying it. I don't see that. But that's as of February 26, 2020 during the debates. Biden said that he was going to hold China responsible and get after them and insist that they take responsibility. The other thing is, and this is really simple, is that a lot of people figured out Donald Trump did not want to anger China. This is not the time to not anger China. This is the time when you say China sucks. A lot of people out there are very politicizing the idea, calling it the China flu. No, it's called the Wuhan flu. That's its proper name if you were using naming conventions. It's not racist to say the Wuhan flu because that's where it came from. Calling it the China flu is racist. Well, no. Chinese flu? What about the Mexican flu? Or wasn't it originally really called the swine flu? We call things by various names. It doesn't have to be named after the area. Calling it the Wuhan flu, yeah, that would be, or Kung flu was actually entertaining. I like that. Then we get Bernie Sanders' commentary. The White House today, we have a self-described great genius. Self-described. His great genius has told us the coronavirus is going to end in 2 months. That's April. It's the magical date that this great scientist we have in the White House has determined. I wish I was kidding. That is what he said. And that is. Donald Trump has consistently said shit that doesn't match. Okay? But the claim was that early on the Democrats downplayed it. Okay? Hindsight's 2020. Donald Trump just got out of the hospital getting his ass kicked by an infection. He's not at the end of the process, and it is notorious for biting back later on. He's done an antibody cocktail, steroids, and who knows what else. Because he's in a privileged, elitist condition and position. And he arrogantly walks out and tells people, don't be afraid of it. Well, We could all say that if we had universal health care, that vaccine you promised that is probably not going to happen, that you're now trying to push through before we know whether it hurts us. We don't have the testing kits you guys claimed we were going to have. No, we don't. Every time the government, the evil government people want to get rid of and defund, actually does something, he takes credit for it. And he's done that consistently. But somehow, some way, Fox is spin doctoring it to where the Democrats downplayed this early on. Okay, you have to show real examples of this, and you have to show me that the opposite behavior is being done by Republicans, which it did not. These cocksuckers have been downplaying it the entire time because it affects their fucking stock portfolios. And Donald Trump is obsessed with this shit. Having rich people run the government, controlling a majority of the poor people in the country, doesn't seem to be working very well, whether the Democrats or Republicans. But again, we are all in unified opinion on this. We do agree that it's serious. We only quibble about a couple of things, mostly whether or not we're willing to kind of chuck it down the hallway. I'm going to point out one more thing here. It's a very important point. People have criticized me for saying that if we had done a full-scale, balls to the wall, no compromise, lockdown, and mask wearing thing and distancing thing for a month, we would have probably not had this problem as much. Now, that may absolutely be inaccurate. It could be completely wrong. But we don't know that. I don't know that either. But the amount of effort people went through predicting this would happen and doing everything that possibly could to try to make sure it didn't happen, including sabotaging it by doing the polar opposite, being germ spreaders and super spreader events, only happened on one side. This is a major problem we're having in this country. There's a lot of countries on this planet that want to see the United States go into the toilet. And the easiest way to do that is to take advantage of this disease by literally weaponizing it and weaponizing stupidity. And I don't see the Democrats being weaponized that easily. You can find examples of them, if you can, of them downplaying the virus. I'm sure it happened. I can't believe every politician in the Democrat or Republican Party is consistent with each other. They weren't. They just weren't. But what has consistently happened is as soon as Donald Trump sees anything done by Obama, he tries to undo it, including fucking over the CDC, getting rid of the task force people that were involved in worrying about Ebola and other super viruses and diseases. The coronavirus task force he put together, he quibbled about things that looked even a little bit Obama-like. His obsession is not with solving a problem, it's making sure he can undo a bunch of Obama shit because he's fucking militant about it. Even after he gets sick, and it requires that he go to a hospital and be on O2, which is actually not being lied about all of a sudden, he still toes the party line. This isn't going to fix anything. Last thing I want to bring, this isn't really important. I'm just saying, I want you guys to tell me where you see the Democrats actually downplaying it. I'm sure it happened, but I can't find it. And I can find politicians right now in the Republican Party that are downplaying it, including today Donald Trump. He downplayed the virus again after getting hit with it. Trump's new message helps coronavirus and doesn't help his campaign. And he came right out dead ass and said, "Don't fear the Reaper," while people are dying. He is in an elitist position where he can get away with saying all sorts of shit. They'll keep resuscitating him if they have to. He's the president. The rest of us, well, it's not in the budget for us to survive, I suppose. One party or another has opinions and whatever, but have you seen the Republicans really provide a real way out of this? Or are they just saying, fuck it, we'll throw up our hands and let everybody die and get on with it? That sounds really, really fucking weak to me. And again, we could have had a lot shorter lockdown if people really did it. And Donald Trump threw himself a party again. And is not covering himself when he's walking around with a disease. Wearing a simple mask would prevent him from reinfecting people and getting it again. He doesn't give a shit about anybody else's life, but he may be saving his own so the disease doesn't leave his body and come back again. A reinfection can happen easily enough. That's all I got to say. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And provide me links showing that this actually happened about the Democrats downplaying this. I want to see some links. Bye.